There's something unique about being the type of person who is always curious about life and questioning things that don't seem to make sense. You begin to see just how deeply mediocrity is ingrained in the masses. They don't know what they want in life. They don't question their daily routines, no matter how unfulfilling they are, and they don't seem to take control of their own future. These are observations I have made with my own eyes, because most people live with untapped potential, unaware of what they are capable of, or the experiences that could come from relentlessly pursuing their goals. Now, of course, I don't have the right to judge how others should spend their lives, but what really drives me mad is that these same people often try to justify their own life path by saying things like, "Patrick, you know there have been millions of dreamers before you, right? And how many of them actually achieved their dreams? Get back to reality. Life isn't as easy as you think." Gentlemen, you've probably heard arguments like this before, especially if you're someone with ambition, someone with a desire to get more out of life. From the desire to acquire the timeless elegance of classic gentleman and bring that into action, you want to experience full autonomy in life and take control of your daily routines and future with your own hands. And you want to reach your full potential by mastering various fields of expertise. One ugly truth of the world is that these desires have often seemed limited to a select few who were fortunate enough to be born with resources, capital, education, or access to elite social cycles. That might have been true back in the 20th century, when everything revolved around physical entities, from education to work. But everything seems to have changed with the arrival of the next century. The internet, while it has received its fair share of criticism, including from me, as some of you might recall from previous videos, but still, it has done some undeniable thing: democratized information for the masses. And that shift alone is paving a new path for a specific type of man, men who dare to think outside the box, break free from mediocrity, and refuse to conform to modern societal norms. That group of men are gentlemen of the new Renaissance. Now, before we go any further, let's start with a bit of history. What is the Renaissance? This takes us back to the 14th century in Europe, a time when feudalism and the church held most of the power over society. Individuals had very little control over their lives, whether it was the free will to decide and pursue their own path, or access to information or knowledge, which was largely controlled and monopolized by the Christian church. But humanity's silver lining began to emerge when Constantinople fell in 1453. This pivotal event led Greek scholars to bring the knowledge and classical texts stored in the Byzantine Empire to Italy, and the rest, as they say, is history. Italian scholars discovered ancient knowledge from the golden age of the Greek and Roman empires, igniting a pathway of mastery. This influenced society to rediscover and embrace human potential. Economic factors in Italian commerce capitals like Milan and Florence allowed enlightened capitalists inspired by this new movement to fund art, architecture, and scholarship. This movement inspired many aspiring individuals to pursue mastery, drawing from ancient Greek and Roman knowledge. It gave rise to legendary figures such as Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo in Italy and Michel de Montaigne in France. Thanks to Johannes Gutenberg's invention of the printing press, these thinkers and masters could distribute their knowledge more widely. Information became decentralized and accessible to the masses. These catalysts began in Italy and spread across Europe from the 14th to 17th century. This shift erased the centralized power of the church and feudalism, liberating humanity both physically and spiritually. And moreover, it also celebrated the philosophy of humanism. You constrained by no limit. In accordance with your own free will, shall ordain for yourself the limits of your nature. Oration on the dignity of man. Although the term humanism was coined in the 19th century, its core idea captures the essence of the Renaissance. For centuries before this period, the ability to choose one's path in life, learn and read texts was limited to the elite. Even worse, the purpose of life was dictated by birthright, leaving individuals without the opportunity to fulfill their potential. The Renaissance celebrated human potential, aiming to break free from the Catholic Church dominance through self-education in physical pursuits arts, science, and more. Its goal was to realize individual potential while contributing to society as a whole. In art, it emphasized reviving the lost works of ancient Greece and Rome, extracting principles like the golden ratio and linear perspective. In science, it revived classic knowledge like empiricism spread by Aristotle in ancient Greece and integrated into art, as famously seen in Da Vinci Mona Lisa and its use of the golden ratio. In education, Gutenberg's printing press decentralized information. It promoted a well-rounded curriculum that encouraged free thought and societal contribution. These qualities made the Renaissance one of the most crucial periods in history, laying the foundation for modern civilization and influencing humanity to this day. Now, enough for the history part, and let's return to the present. The 2020s, where everything seems bizarrely chaotic in the age of technology. Gentlemen, if you observe today's societal landscape and compare it with the history of the Renaissance, you will notice striking resemblance between the two periods. Here's what I mean. Access to education and knowledge was once limited to the lucky few. Today, this is mirrored by the exclusivity of colleges and educational institutions that require significant capital or social connection. Next is the birthright that dictated one's life and future in the past. In our time, it's the unfairness of social class, leaving an enormous gap between different groups. And the last crucial one, a centralized single entity once had enormous power to shape society. Now, enter the Renaissance and a new one. The printing press in Gutenberg's era parallels the modern internet, which has decentralized education and information. This allows people to educate themselves and hone expertise in various fields more freely. Next is all about social class that matter less when individuals gain control of their lives by offering expertise and value without bias towards birthright. And the last one is humanism that has transferred power to individual, shifting society from centralized control to decentralization. This enables each person to find their voice and exercise free will. The resemblance between the Renaissance and the New Renaissance re-entering highlights the potential for transformation. Just like the old Renaissance, the new one will endure for a long time. It will penalize those who remain ignorant and greatly reward those who prepare. So, the question is, how do you prepare for this new Renaissance? My advice: look towards a certain archetype that embodies timeless elegance and is labeled as a gentleman. Courtesy is as much a mark of a gentleman as courage. Theodore Roosevelt. There's an argument that arises whenever someone mentions the term gentleman. People often say being a gentleman has nothing to do with external appearance. It's all about internal character, grace, manners, and goodwill for others. While I certainly cannot disagree with the importance of internal character, viewing it this way is a too limited perspective when tackling the essence of this term. So, before we discuss the association between being a gentleman and the New Renaissance, let's take a brief look at the evolution of the term and uncover its true meaning. Several centuries ago, during the 16th and 17th centuries, the age of Shakespeare, the term gentleman primarily referred to a social rank and was exclusively associated with noble birth. Thanks to the Renaissance, which promoted the ideas of chivalry, education, and virtues of life, most gentlemen of noble birth naturally absorbed these qualities since they perceived them as the right thing to do as noblemen. Fast forward to the 19th century, and the term gentleman began to detach from its association with birthright. It shifted towards the right to become freely through character, manners, education, and virtue. And by the 20th century, the term gentleman had become synonymous with aspiration for all men, regardless of social status. This was when Golden Age Hollywood tapped into the essence of the gentleman, creating ideal personas on screen. These iconic figures, such as Cary Grant, Gary Cooper, and Fred Astaire, became symbols of gentlemanly qualities to the masses. These men embody elegance through their polished attire, impeccable manners, and courageous, charming, virtuous characters. As you might guess, the term gentleman is now considered a lost art by many in the overly casual society we live in today. Social agendas and a shift in behavioral norms, which seem addicted to comfort, have directly contributed to this decline. Whenever people think of the term classic gentleman, it suddenly conjures an old-fashioned image, something rejected as irrelevant or unnecessary by modern society. Moreover, for those who admire the timeless elegance of classic style, not just for its polish and refinement, but also for the aspirational character it represents, the masses often dismiss it as a shallow form of personal expression. So, gentlemen, if you admire the image of classic icons of the past but hesitate to embody their style because of others' opinion or objection, here's my take. Being a gentleman is the quality of being graceful and stylish, reflected through both your external appearance and internal character. You cannot fully claim to be a gentleman, someone with a noble spirit, willing to do good and show respect to others, if you don't dress in a way that respects your true self. Try to imagine this scenario. There are two men with the same body and face, but dressed differently. One is impeccably groomed, wearing a tailored polo, high-waisted double-pleated cotton trousers, and polished leather shoes. The other has messy hair, a wrinkled screen-printed t-shirt, poorly fitted jeans, and flip-flops. Both authentically hold doors open for others, men and women alike. Who do you think will receive deeper respect and appreciation? Some might argue that a true gentleman doesn't seek approval or expect anything in return. While this is true, the impression and the image they project still matter. When you look at the history of the term gentleman, it's all about the aspiration to reach an ideal state of being, whether through external appearance or internal character. Both reflect the best version of oneself. To label yourself as a gentleman or aspire to be one, you must embrace both sides of the coin. When you commit to the path of excellence, no longer limited by bloodline or social class, but driven by the choice to pursue the best things in life, you position yourself to thrive in the new Renaissance. This is how you prepare to live life at its finest and achieve greatness in this new era. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. The future is inevitable. Those who adapt will thrive, and those who don't will suffer. You already know how closely the current moment resembles the Renaissance of the past, and I must say, the penalty for ignorance and the reward for idealism have never been more starkly contrasted. You've likely seen this and experienced it firsthand. A resurgence of masculinity that has long been inhibited by social agenda. An undercurrent wave of classic style and sartorialists gradually gathering momentum. The autonomy to work and earn well by pursuing one's calling, decentralized information no longer limited to specific institutions, and a rapid advancement in artificial intelligence, giving individuals unprecedented power, something unmatched in human history. These developments present countless opportunities to seize, whether in career, health, social relationships, or overall life satisfaction. The outcome depends entirely on how much you embrace and lean into this new renaissance. For those who continue operating within outdated paradigm, refusing to take control of their lives or raise their consciousness, just like the ignorant masses of the 14th century clinging to the feudalism and indoctrination of monopolistic institutions, they will remain trapped in the cage of unfulfillment as long as they hold on to these obsolete structures. But for those who choose to cultivate awareness, think for themselves, and work for themselves, while reclaiming the virtues of life that has lost in the bygone era, those people, the gentlemen of the new Renaissance, will experience life at its finest, both now and in the future.
No matter what anybody tells you, words and ideas can change the world.
If the core idea of the Renaissance means the rebirth of virtues that once glory in the past but have been lost in the current society, then the duty of a man of integrity is to bring those virtues back and pursue them to excellence. For a gentleman of the new Renaissance, there are 5 key aspects to leverage. First, sartorial elegance to combat the overly casual norms. Second, charismatic manner to address the lack of etiquette and socialization skill. Third, multi-mastery pursuit to resolve the purposeless crisis. Fourth, cultural connoisseurship to counter the death of soul nourishment. And fifth, creation for mankind to oppose overconsumption with no value distribution. Let's start with the dimension I've already covered extensively in the past: sartorial elegance. As you know, the concept of a gentleman is a lost art. So too is the style, class, and elegance of refined attire. I hope by now you're convinced that being a gentleman cannot be achieved through internal character alone. It must be paired with exceptional polished attire in an overly casual society. Dressing in a way that reflects elegance contradicts the norm. However, it is also the duty of a gentleman to hold himself to a high standard, to have self-respect, and to represent his best self, both in his actions and in the clothes he wears. Classic menswear is the key to achieving this ideal. This doesn't necessarily mean wearing a suit, shirt, and ties every day, but it does mean embracing garments considered timeless and of high quality. I fully explore this idea in my ebook, the Sartorial Codex, where I share practical insights on how to dress classically in the 21st century. You can get a free copy if you're interested. But the reason sartorial elegance is such a vital aspect of the new Renaissance is that the masses have grown complacent in how they present themselves. Many people don't care how they look, which sends a message of I don't care about representing my best self or how I am perceived by others. Elegance, once celebrated and widely acquired by ladies and gentlemen in the 20th century, has become a lost virtue, and it had never been needed more than now. The new Renaissance will bring back sartorial elegance, not as a global norm or law, but as an undercurrent movement. This movement allows men to tap into the refined essence of gentlemen from the past and experience how they truly live. When you change the way you dress to a more classic look, the gateway to elegance opens, and that alone can transform your experience in ways you would never imagine. To feel at ease with yourself by dressing your best and transferring that ease to others in the room, this ability is rare and its rewards are tremendous. So, gentlemen, if you haven't yet considered classic menswear as part of your lifestyle, this is your chance to act. Next, let's move to charismatic manner, to address the lack of etiquette and socialization. When dealing with people, remember you're not dealing with creators of logic, but with creators of emotion. As the world shifts toward modernity, humanity has never suffered a greater lack of socialization skills, especially among people in my generation. With the rise of convenient communication tools like emojis and text messages, which often serve as a first move to connect with others, the ability in real-life communication has never been lower, let alone virtues like manners and etiquette in social interaction. This is where charismatic manner becomes another key aspect that the new Renaissance gentleman must leverage. Recognizing that society has become inefficient at connecting with one another, the gentleman of the new Renaissance commits to honing his skills, developing his natural charisma through studying role models of the past and elevating the quality of life for himself and those around him. He pays fierce attention to others. He has respectful wit and humor, and he unapologetically embraces his authentic self. By doing so, he navigates life through a lens entirely different from that of the masses. Humans remain humans, and those who master the art of socialization will undoubtedly thrive, especially when 99% of people lack the skill. I've already dived deeply into this topic in one of my previous videos, 4 Components of Gentleman Charisma. I encourage you to watch it for more context and actionable insights. The next component we're going to talk about is multi-mastery pursuing to resolve the purpose crisis. One of the main reasons why most people live unfulfilled lives is that they lack purpose, and why they must endure failure, disappointment, and pain to become the greatest version of themselves. This is the opposite of the Renaissance ideal, a celebration of human potential, trust in one's own capabilities, and the relentless pursuit of mastery based on free will. Man is nothing else but what he purposes. He exists only insofar as he realizes himself. He is therefore nothing else but the sum of his action, nothing else but what his life is. Jean-Paul Sartre. Pursuing meaningful things in life always involves expanding oneself into the unknown. This requires new information, the know-how to apply it, and the framework to navigate the process. This is where philosophy comes in. Philosophy is a tool for understanding life, helping you connect with truth and reality. It enhances your self-awareness, enabling you to discover what truly matters to you and why it so matters so deeply that everything else fades in comparison. When we engage in the journey towards mastery, we are fulfilling our life task. This is the ultimate form of self-expression and fulfillment. Robert Greene on his book Mastery. Once you find your purpose, something that excites you physically, mentally, and spiritually, mastery becomes a Swiss Army knife. It empowers you to pursue your goals with optimal performance and extraordinary experiences. As you already know, a Renaissance man doesn't limit himself to a single field of mastery. He pursues all that he wishes to master. Gentlemen, you don't need to stick to a single area of expertise like most people do. Many graduate from university with their specific degrees and carry that narrative that they are specialists, unable to do anything outside their field. But here's the thing, your degree, job, or life circumstances are merely parts of your experience. They don't dictate who you are as a whole. The only person who decides what you can and cannot do is yourself. So, if you have multiple interests in your life, please pursue mastery in all of them, which we're going to talk about this later in the future video about multi-mastery pursuing. The fourth one we're going to talk about is cultural connoisseurship to counter the death of soul nourishment. Art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. Pablo Picasso. Modern society, especially the middle class in big metropolitan areas, has romanticized the wrong things. Many believe that spending all your time working is the only pathway to a good life, as it leads to wealth and the status symbol that follows. Titles, luxury cars, designer clothes, or high-end Swiss watches. As a result, activities like socializing, reading, or watching fiction, enjoying great food with great company, or indulging in the arts are seen as meaningless and a waste of productivity. While money is essential to survive and thrive, postponing life's nourishing experience for some future end goal and forgetting to enjoy sophistication along the way is certainly not the path of a new Renaissance gentleman, because he has it all. Building on the previous aspect of multi-mastery, this man knows what he wants. He set milestones and take relentlessly action toward his goal every single day. But after periods of intense work, he spent his time wisely, indulging in activities that resonate with his interests and preference. This allows him to understand the world better and connect with it on a deeper level. These activities often include consuming meaningful information through books, music, or films, engaging in physical activities such as sports or art, enjoying life-finding experience from great food, drink, and social gathering at quiet cafe, classic bar, or even intellectual salon if such space existed today. A new Renaissance gentleman devotes a significant portion of his life to cultural experiences. The word cultures means the arts and other manifestation of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. Culture is the mechanism on which humans survive but has been built, distinguishing us from other species driven purely by instinct. To indulge in culture, to become a cultural connoisseur, is undoubtedly a critical aspect of a new Renaissance gentleman's life. It's what enables deeper survival, connection, and understanding of the human experience. A gentleman, of course, among the four aspects we discussed: sartorial elegance, charismatic manner, multi-mastery pursuing, and cultural connoisseurship. As refined and impressively as they may sound, they mean nothing to the world without this final and crucial aspect: the dedication to create for mankind, to counter overconsumption without value distribution. You're already aware of how the internet has transformed society. 99% of people are pure consumers, often lacking awareness of what they are doing. I've observed this phenomenon countless times in public spaces. People subconsciously open their phone and launch Instagram, scrolling through their feeds or stories for 15 seconds, switch to the next app, put their phone down for 30 seconds, and then start the loop over and over again. Most people are consumers, few are creators. And for the term creator, it doesn't just refer to content creators as many think. A creator is anyone who chooses to create, to bring something new to the world. The new Renaissance gentleman is a creator dedicated to the betterment of mankind. Think of any great Renaissance icons: Da Vinci, Michelangelo. Many of their achievements began from personal curiosity or individual pursuits, but ultimately evolved into the contribution of the immense value to humanity. This doesn't mean you must constantly create without consuming. Human growth depends on learning from new information, and consumption is a part of that process. But in this digital age, an era resembling the decentralization of the original Renaissance, creation has been democratized. Not only is knowledge more accessible, but the tools to create are as well. The barriers to becoming a creator have never been lower. With the internet, you can connect with the world and share your creations globally. It's up to you how you choose to use these tools, but one thing is certain: a gentleman of the new Renaissance used them to create value and dedicate it to humanity. The timing and conditions for creativity have never been more ideal. A new Renaissance gentleman understands the rewards he will reap, the experiences he will gain, and the fulfillment his soul will achieve when he lives purposefully, excelling internally and contributing externally to the greater good. I understand this concept might seem vague or abstract, even after watching to this point, and that's completely understandable. It's my duty to continue exploring this idea, and as I further release new issues along the way, the dots will gradually connect for you. But for now, gentlemen, that's all for this video. I hope you gained some valuable ideas here, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next one. Take care, and have a great day.